Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of the Movie Crusaders. My name is Sean Wassacrew, and today we're going to be viewing one of the most anticipated films of the year, and that is James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. Now, I think most people know not the Suicide Squad, but just Suicide Squad, which came out a few years back, was a pretty anticipated film based off the trailers and the new Joker and all that kind of stuff. But when the film ultimately came out, it was a huge disappointment, where the only two good things that kind of came out of that movie was Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn and Will Smith's Deadshot. But we didn't think we were going to get another film out of that. I mean, I think we all kind of thought Birds of Prey was kind of going to be like the next Suicide Squad, but ended up just being a Harley Quinn movie and then Birds of Prey for like the last half hour. But then Disney messed up. Disney and Marvel, but mostly Disney messed up, and they released James Gunn from the MCU, thus letting him have the opportunity for the DC to go, James Gunn, we love what you did with Guardians of the Galaxy. Here's Suicide Squad. Have at it. Do whatever you want. You have free reign to just have at it. Boy, was that the best decision DC ever made. Because without that, I don't think the Suicide Squad could work again or would work again. I think the character assortments that we have here. I mean, look at the back of behind me at the screen, or I'll post a picture right here. The assortment of characters, and some of them aren't even in this picture that we have. The cast. There are so many names in this cast, and the reason why is because they want to work with James Gunn, and whether they are big parts or small parts, because some big names have small parts and some bigger names have bigger parts. I'm going to try my best to kind of tiptoe around this so I don't spoil it, because Brian Michaels and I are going to have a spoiler review later this week. This was kind of a perfect storm. When that first Red Band trailer came out and everyone got to see what James Gunn's vision was of the Suicide Squad, I think everyone's anticipation went from like a 2 to a 10, and everyone just was dying to see what James Gunn was going to do with the Suicide Squad. In terms of characters coming back from the original film, I think there's only 3 total, which is obviously Amanda Waller's. I'm sorry, Viola Davis is Amanda Waller, and of course Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn in her 3rd chance at the role, and then Jai Courtney's Captain Boomerang, which I don't think anyone really cares about or really was excited to see him come back. I think everyone would have loved to see Will Smith come back, but I think from the first film, I think that was enough for him overall, which I think it would have been a smart move for him to come back with James Gunn at the helm, but he did not return. Instead, we get Idris Elba as Bloodsport, who I think was a nice substitute overall for the Will Smith character. We'll get into that a little bit later. The overall plot of the Suicide Squad is kind of the same thing that every Suicide Squad film, I guess, would technically be, is Amanda Waller basically gives all these criminals an opportunity to knock 10 years off their sentence by going on a dangerous mission that I guess they wouldn't ask a superhero to do. Why they didn't get a Batman or anything like that, this kind of opportunity, no idea. But she gives these criminals. Harley Quinn got rearrested. Since we last saw her in Birds of Prey, she was free. Somehow she got arrested again, which gets explained in the movie. And she's part of the Suicide Squad again. Other than that, oh yeah, Joel Kinnaman's Rick Flagg is back too. Forgot about that. He's still running the Suicide Squad, which I guess they don't like being called that. They're called Task Force X. But they all are on a mission to Court Maltese, and they are supposed to go to this building called the Jotunheim and basically destroy it, and the everything inside of it. And that's basically their mission. Now, this movie does start off with probably the superhero version of Saving Private Ryan's Omaha Beach. It is very brutal. It's very gory. It's very graphic. Now, for people who don't really do well with squeamish stuff, clearly you've never seen a James Gunn rated R film, because he loves to push the bar as far as he can. And this time it's with superheroes. So for anyone who couldn't watch The Boys on Amazon, or thought Invincible on Amazon, the cartoon superhero show, was too squeamish for you, you're going to have a hard time watching The Suicide Squad, because James Gunn does not shy away from anything in this film, whether it being deaths of superheroes, death of just regular army guys, or even King Shark just having some nom-noms. And clearly, King Shark. Obviously, you guys know me with sharks. I'm a huge Jaws fan. I love sharks in general. So naturally, King Shark. He's going to be my favorite character. This is the third adaptation that we've had of King Shark. King Shark first popped up on the screen, that is. King Shark first popped up on the Flash TV show. It was okay, nothing great. Then he popped up in the Harley Quinn R-rated animated show, which Ron Funches voices him, and he's freaking amazing in. And this time around, we've got Sylvester Stallone basically doing the voice of King Shark. And I wasn't sure how that was going to work, but it works amazing. King Shark is a blast. Every time he's on screen, I'm just watching him. I'm laughing at his little intricacies. And I could spend the whole movie just watching him react to things and try to kind of comprehend what's going on in the story, because he's lost in 90% of this, and he's just kind of going along for the ride. Whether it's him sneaking up on somebody in the jungle and you're just watching him bob his head around, to him actually eating people, which is very, very gory, but also sweet, to him actually trying to be a part of the team. King Shark is a highlight for me, and I loved his character overall, and I hope we get more King Shark down the road. And Sylvester Stallone does a very solid job in the little dialogue that he does get with King Shark, or I think it's Nawi or Nawi, which is what they call him throughout most of the movie. I think we references King Shark a few times in the film. Another standout for me, outside of the originals, is I'm going to butcher this last name, is David Dastmalchian. He plays Polka Dot Man. Was not expecting to like this character as much as I did. I've only really seen David in Dark Knight. He plays one of the Joker's kind of goons, and I haven't really seen him in much else. But even in the Dark Knight, his character his performance in it was memorable, to the point where I remember him for the scene that he had in the Dark Knight. His character of Polka Dot Man is depressing, but funny and sincere. And the Polka Dot Man's powers are awesome. They're just mind-blowingly cool and just flamboyant and fun. And the one joke that he has that runs through the entire film, it worked every single time for me. I don't know why it did, but I loved it. And he was hands down one of my favorite characters alongside King Shark. Obviously, Idris Elba's Bloodsport. If you love Idris Elba, you're going to love him in this movie, because he's basically being Idris Elba. And that's probably the best way to describe his character, where Will Smith was basically being Will Smith, but he was Deadshot in the first film. Idris Elba was basically being Idris Elba. So if you like him, you're going to love Bloodsport, sorry. He's a lot of fun. He interacts very well with all the characters, and is obviously the one kind of more self-aware character, kind of like Will Smith was in the first film, of just like how crazy everything is, and how he just either can just freak out or adapt. And some of the best times he has in this film is his banter and back and forth with the one John Cena, aka Peacemaker. John Cena, this is hands down his best performance he's ever done. He is off the chain hilarious. His dialogue is something not near Drax levels, because obviously he's not like Drax, where he doesn't understand I'm blanking on the word because it's late. I've actually watched Suicide Squad back to back because I wanted to watch it a second time to digest it better. Or literal things. But Peacemaker, aka John Cena, he's just so to an 11 all the time. And John Cena, because he plays everything so serious, his seriousness in terms of a comedy role works incredibly well. And him and Bloodsport have great interactions. Him and Polka Dot Man, him and King Shark, John Cena, and even him and Rick Flagg. John Cena does a fantastic job in this. I know they're going to be developing a TV series with Peacemaker, and at first I didn't know how it was going to work, but by the end of this film, I'm more open to watching that TV series and seeing exactly what they're going to give John Cena to do next with this character, because it is such an interesting character overall. It's a little one note, but he does enough to give it enough layers to really make it work. I'd love to go a little bit more about him, but we're going to hold that off for the spoilers. Viola Davis continues to be the most despised, despicable, worst character in the DC world as Amanda Waller. Clearly, I think everyone would prefer the Joker or Zod or any villain over Amanda Waller. She is clearly the worst, and Viola Davis plays it obviously to perfection because she's one of the best actresses in the world today. And Amanda Waller, every time she's on screen, you just want her to like die or someone to punch her because she's just such a horrible human being. Joel Kinnaman as Rick Flagg. In the first movie, he was just he felt uneven with his performance. This time around, he feels a lot more comfortable as Rick Flagg and seems to just be having a lot more fun as Rick Flagg as well, and just a lot more character for Rick Flagg. He might not be on screen as much as he is in the first film, but he does so much more in this film than he did in the first one. And of course, Margot Robbie is Harley Quinn. This is her third go as Harley Quinn now. She knows how to play Harley. She is embodied the Harley Quinn character. She's still kind of playing it off the same way she did in Birds of Prey, which is good continuity for the character. I think she gets more to do dialogue-wise in Birds of Prey, because obviously that's her film, than she does in this, because there's just so many characters. So many characters in this film. You only have so much time with everybody. And I think Harley Quinn, or Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn, she's really kind of settled into the role. Whether or not we get to see her again perform as Harley Quinn is another thing. But I do think she does a great job in the film. And then, of course, Peter Capaldi as the Thinker. He's basically playing Doctor Who without the immortality and the time travel. So if you liked Peter Capaldi's Doctor Who, you're going to like Peter Capaldi in this film as well. There's just too many characters. I could keep going, but then we'd be at this for 45 minutes, which, like I said, spoiler review with Brian and I, we're going to go into these characters a lot more. Those are just the ones I'm going to kind of run through. Everyone else, we will touch base on the spoiler review. The action is fun. It's gory. It's gross. It's batshit crazy insane. The stuff they put these characters through and the levels and layers and all the stuff that they have to do to complete this mission. It runs around 2 hours and 9 minutes. There's probably 10 minutes of story, and sadly, it is the Harley Quinn part of it that maybe could have been cut up a little bit to shorten some time. It's not that that story is not important, because it's adding layers to her character and showing character growth, but it just kind of felt out of place with the rest of the film that we were watching. There's also certain times in the film where we're telling the story out of order, like something will happen and then they have to go, back a few days or back a few minutes, because there's just so many characters that they all can't be on screen at the same time. So they have to kind of go, okay, here's what's going on over here. Let's fast forward back to what's going on over here, which can kind of be a little jarring, especially when you know what's going on one end. But it's a decision for James Gunn. It's not a bad decision. And the second time watching it, I was more kind of open to it than I was the first time. James Gunn also does a pretty good job of making this kind of feel like a comic book, because each section of the film kind of has a chapter title or a comic book title that pops up on screen. It's very cartoony in a way, but it also works with this film because of what Suicide Squad is. So it's enjoyable to that effect. The villains in the film are really inconsequential when it comes down to it, except for obviously the main one, that if you've seen the trailers, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't seen the trailers, I'm not going to say it because it's a big surprise. But they really don't matter. It's all about these characters that are going on this mission and learning them and having them interact with one another, and then them just raising up the body count. Like I said, it's not a perfect film. It's not. There's, like I said, some pacing issues. There's some story elements that maybe could have gotten cut down. There's some characters that should have gotten maybe a little bit more backstory than some others. There's some characters that we're introduced to that really just didn't get enough time to really develop or breathe compared to others. But that's a problem in this film when you're juggling 20 plus characters. It's not like the MCU where we've had movies after movies after movies building these characters up. Some of these characters are just going to be fodder to be killed, which some of them I was really interested in and really wanted to know a little bit more about. And then there are others that are basically just playing the human version of that actor. There are certain characters where I'm like, he's just playing himself, and there's not really anything to this character. Like I said, we'll go more into that in the spoiler review. Overall, Suicide Squad, or The Suicide Squad, is hands down one of the most fun films of the year. If you are not into gory, R-rated, gross gore humor, this is probably not going to be your cup of tea. If you have, I'm sorry, I was going to my review and I totally left out one other main character, Chloe. She plays Ratcatcher 2, played by Daniela Melchior. Totally forgot about her. She's clearly the heart of this film. When her character first starts out, you're kind of like, oh, okay, that's her character. I'm not really, kind of okay into that with what's going on. But her character progresses and grows as well with her friend Sebastian, which once you start watching Sebastian, you're going to fall in love with the Sebastian character. But as her character grows, she is the heart of the story, who kind of is the thing that kind of keeps the whole team together as a whole. I really enjoyed her performance overall, and her kind of end goal in the film at the end of the story was very beautiful and a great cameo in that particular story as well, that we'll talk about in the spoiler review. I really, really enjoyed her performance. That was one performance that I also was not expecting, that I really, really enjoyed. And watching it a second time right after the first time really solidified that performance for me as well. But like I said, overall, this is a fun film. If you love these characters, if you love the DC, if you love James Gunn as a director, you're going to have a blast watching The Suicide Squad. Like I said, if you're squeamish, if you're not good with gore or anything like that, you may have some issues with the film, or you may not be able to stomach the film as well as others. But if you like that stuff, if you love The Boys or Invincible or anything like that, and you want to see a Vietnam Saving Private Ryan superhero kind of film, Suicide Squad's it. This is that film for you, and you're going to have a blast watching it. Like I said, I watched it, and then like 30 minutes later, put it back on again because it's on HBO Max. And I might rewatch it 2 or 3 more times before the month's up, because it is that fun. It is that much fun to watch and get into, and it's something that, like I said, it's not a perfect film, but I enjoyed the hell out of it, and I cannot wait to watch it again or to talk with others about it again. And because of that, it makes the negatives, or it makes the things that are wrong with the film less important, makes it less eye-catching, because you just have so much fun watching it. I just going through this review, my score has changed from what I originally was going to have, which was an 88. It's now a 93, just talking it out with you guys. This is one of my favorite films of the year, and I cannot wait to rewatch it again. Like I said, Brian, Michael, and I will be having a spoiler review. We're going to go over that again here probably by the end of this weekend. We'll have that up and running, so you guys can talk or see us talk in detail about the stuff that happened in this film without trying to have to walk around everything. And I hope I did my best to walk around this without spoiling anything for you, because this is a movie that you need to go in without spoilers. Have fun watching this film and enjoy these characters, whether you get them for couple minutes or whether you get them for the whole film, because all of them are up for grabs here in this film. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you guys did, go ahead and hit that like, share, and subscribe button to the channel so you guys stay up to date with all the latest videos that pop up on the Movie Crusaders. Of course, don't forget to follow us on all the social media outlets you see below. Coming up next, Free Guy. And that has been my most anticipated film for the last 2 years. I have been waiting for this film to come out, been counting down the days for this film to come out. That comes out next week, finally. So there will definitely be a review of Free Guy. Don't Breathe 2 also comes out. I don't know if I'll have a review for that this weekend, just because I don't know if I'll have time to see it. And then, of course, Brian Michaels and myself will be back for another 5 movies to talk about during the weekend in movie history on the Weekend Crusaders. So check out our previous 2 episodes that just popped up. And, of course, like I said, Brian Michaels and I will be back again this weekend with a spoiler review of this film. So until next time, in case I don't see you, good morning, good afternoon, and good night, Movie Crusaders.
You're still here? It's over. Go home.